Everybody. Whew. I'm here. It's good to see everybody. Hello, we are back. It is April 28th, 2020, and this is number 27. Can you believe it? Number 27 of St. Bernard's Books with Mrs Brickson. And it is good to see everyone. Please remember to go on down to the bottom or to the side and just say hi. And I'm going to type this up real quick. I kind of know that you are here. Remember, we are reading Tales of the Fourth Grade Nothing. And we have today and tomorrow. And we are going to be, after that, we're going to be reading a whole series, different things of picture books, which are just wonderful. Picture books. And anyways, with that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started with our day. Here we go. Of course, it starts with a commercial. So I got to get past the Domino's commercial. Here we go. Ooh, that's really bright. Sorry about that, guys. Sometimes the technical difficulties don't always work the way that you want them to.
Difference. We can make a difference. Go make a difference in the world. Go make a difference. We can make a difference. Go make a difference in the world.
All right. So let's start our day. Remember, if for some reason you end up missing any of our videos, and they should be updated now on our link. Maybe if I held it the right side up. Hold it the right side up, Mrs. Brickson. You can go to our link, our YouTube library link, and you can check this out. And so you can get caught up with any of our items. We do have a bunch of interesting, fun things coming up. We will be having on Mondays coming up. I know definitely for the month of May. Mondays, 10:30, we're going to have Monday morning meeting with Mrs. Zare. Everyone, you don't have to be in preschool or pre-K. Anybody can come. We want everyone to come if you can. So 10:30 on Mondays, and we're going to be sending out some more information on that. It's going to be here on our Facebook, St. Bernard's School and School Parents and Staff. So make sure that you check that out. Mondays, 10:30 a.m. Facebook Live. Maybe you might see some other people in there. Maybe, we'll have to see. There might be some different surprises involved with that. Coming up next week, too, more information. We are going to be having class lunches so that you can go and have lunch with the kids in your class with Zoom. So we're in the process of getting that set up. Plus, also, we're starting up a Kindness 101. It's like a fun little class. It's these cool videos, and it's just a really neat project, and we'll have more information on that. So we have all these things, exciting things coming up so that you, our St. Bernard's kids, can go forth and make a difference in the world. We want you to be able to do that. Please don't forget to type in, say hi, so that we know that you're here. And our joke for today is, why did the teddy bear say no to dessert? Why did the teddy bear say no to dessert? Because she was stuffed. Get it? The teddy bear was stuffed. I think everyone should walk around with like a good rim shot and applause. Have your own little applause meter. So that is pretty good. Anyway, so good to see everybody. we are going to go ahead and get started with the adventures of Peter and his little brother, Fudge. And we do know that the name of this little turtle on here is Dribble. Remember the little baby turtle? His name is Dribble. So last time we talked about there's a project, and there's a group project that Peter was doing with his friend Sheila and Jimmy Fargo. And they live out in the same apartment building that he does, and so they were all working together. Fudge got a hold of it and scribbled all over it, and Fudge got in big trouble. And then the next time they found Fudge, he was again in his room, in Peter's room, cutting his own hair. And then all the hair's like ending up in Dribble's tank. Sometimes I feel a little bit like Fudge. I think it's time. So Axel, if you're watching, tell your mom Levon. Yeah, okay. Maybe I should just shave the head. Anyways, let us begin. Tales 4th Grade Nothing by Judy Blume. Chapter 8, The TV Star. Aunt Linda is my mother's sister. She lives in Boston. Last week, she had a baby girl. So now I have a new cousin. My mother decided to fly to Boston to see Aunt Linda and the new baby. I'll only be gone for the weekend, my mother told me. I was sitting on her bed watching her pack. I know, I said. Daddy will take care of you and Fudge. I know, I said again. Are you sure you'll be all right? She asked me. Sure, why not? Will you help Daddy with Fudge? Sure, Mom, don't worry. I'm not worrying, it's just that Daddy is so, well, you know. He doesn't know much about taking care of children. And then she closed her suitcase. We'll be fine, Mom, I said. I was really looking forward to the weekend. My father doesn't care about keeping things neat. He never examines me to see if I'm clean, and he lets me stay out late at night. On Friday morning, all 4 of us rode down in the elevator to say goodbye to my mother. Henry looked at the suitcases. You going away, Miss Hatcher? He asked. My mother asked, No, I am, Henry. My sister just had her first baby boy. I'm flying to Boston for the weekend to help out. New baby, said Fudge. Baby, 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 baby. Nobody paid attention to him. Sometimes my brother just talks to hear the sound of his own voice. Have a nice visit, Miss Hatcher, Henry told my mother when we reached the lobby. Thank you, Henry, my mother said. Keep an eye on my family for me. Will do, Mrs. Hatcher, Henry said, giving my father a wink. Outside, my father hailed a taxi. He put the suitcase in first and then held the door for my mother. When she was settled in the cab, my father said, Don't worry about us. We'll be fine. Just fine, Mommy, just fine, Fudge yelled. Bye, Mommy. See you Sunday, I said. My mother blew us kisses, and then her cab drove away. My father sighed while Fudge jumped up and down. Bye, Mommy, bye, 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 bye. I had no school that day. The teachers were at a special meeting, so my father said he'd take me and Fudge to the office with him. My father's office is a huge building made of almost all glass. It's really a busy place. You never see people just sitting quietly at desks. Everyone's always rushing around. A person could get lost there. My father has a private office and his own secretary. Her name is Janet, and she's very pretty. I especially like her hair. It's thick and black. She has almost the longest eyelashes I've ever seen. Once I heard my mother say, Janet must have to get up at the crack of dawn to put on her face. My father just laughed when my mother said that. Janet's seen me before, but this was her first meeting with Fudge. I was glad his hair was finally growing back. I explained right off about his teeth. He'll look a lot better when he's older, I told her. He knocked out his front too, but when he's 6 or 7, he'll get new ones. See, said Fudge, all gone. My father said, Janet, the boys are going to be here for us in the morning. Can you amuse them while I clear up on some work? Certainly, Mr. Hatcher. Janet said, you go ahead into your office. I'll take the boys on a tour of the rest of the agency. As soon as my father went to this private office, Janice took out her pocketbook. She reached in and came up with a hairbrush, some lipstick, and a bag of crackers. Want some? She asked me and Fudge. Oh, okay, I said, taking a handful. Fudge did the same. The crackers were shaped like little goldfish. I nibbled while Janet fixed herself up. She had a big folding mirror in her desk drawer. She set it on top of her desk and went to work on herself. She had a when she was finished, she looked exactly the same as when she came in. But I guess she didn't think so because she said, "That's much better." Then she put all of her stuff away and took me by one hand and Fudge by the other. We walked down the long hall through the doorway into another section of the agency. We came to a room where there were a bunch of kids with mothers. I guess there were at least 50 of them. Most of the kids were small, kind of like Fudge, and some were crying. Is this a nursery school or what? I asked Janet. She laughed. They're here to try out for the new Toddle Bike commercial. You mean they all want to be the kid who rides the Toddle Bike on TV? Yes. Well, at least their mothers want them to be picked, Janet said. But we can only use one. You mean only one of these kids is going to be picked? That's right, Janet said. Well, who picks him? I said. Your father and Mr. Denberg are doing it. But of course, Mr. Vincent, the president of Toddler Bike Company, has to approve. Just then the door opened and a secretary came in. Next, she said to the waiting kids. My Murray's next, a mother said. Oh, no, he's not, another mother called. Sally is next. Ladies, please, you'll all have your turn, the secretary said. Murray got to be next. He was a little red-headed kid, and he wasn't in the other room for 2 minutes when the door opened and a big man with a cigar in his mouth came in. No, 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 he shouted. He is not the type at all. Murray was crying. His mother yelled at the big man. What do you know anyway? You wouldn't know a treasure if you found one. She shook her fist at him. Janet whispered to me, That's Mr. Vincent, the president of Toddle Bike. Mr. Vincent walked to the center of the room. He looked around at all the kids. When he looked over at us, he pointed and he called. There he is. That's the kid I want. I thought he meant me, and I was excited. I could just see myself riding TV on a Toddle Bike. All my friends will turn on their sets and say, Hey, look, there's Peter. When I was thinking about what fun it would be, Mr. Vincent came over to us and grabbed Fudge. He lifted him up. Perfect, he said. He's perfect. The mothers who were waiting packed up their kids and left right away. Mr. Vincent took off with Fudge in his arms. Janet chased him. She called, But Mr. Vincent, you don't understand. I ran after Janet. Mr. Vincent carried Fudge into the other room. He announced, I found him myself, the perfect kid to ride the Toddle Bike in my new commercial. Mr. Vincent put Fudge down and took the cigar out of his mouth. There were 2 other men in the room. One of them was Mr. Denberg. The other was my father. Hi, Daddy, Fudge said. George, my father told Mr. Vincent, this is my son. He's no actor or model. He can't make your Toddle Bike commercial. He doesn't have to be an actor or a model. He's perfect the way he is, Mr. Vincent insisted. Now, look, George, we want to make the best possible commercial for your company. Oh, whoops, sorry. It's his dad's voice. Now, George, we want to make the best possible commercial for your company, but Fudge can't be the boy on the Toddle Bike. Now, you listen to me, Hatcher, Mr. Vincent raised his voice. I wondered why he called my father Hatcher, just like Mr. Yarby did. Mr. Vincent pointed to Fudge. Either that kid rides my Toddle Bike or I take my account to another advertising agency. It's that simple. My father looked at Mr. Denberg. It's your decision, Warren, Mr. Denberg told my father. I don't want to be the one to tell you what to do. My father picked up Fudge and held him in his lap. Would you like to ride a Toddle Bike, Fudgy? It's just like the one you have at home. Why are you asking him? I said, what does he know about making commercials? My father acted as if he'd forgotten he was even around. I'm thinking, Peter, please be quiet. Well, Hatcher, Mr. Vincent said, what'll it be? This kid of yours, or do I move to another agency? I remember how my father lost the Juicy O account because of Fudge. Now, maybe he'll he'll lose this one too. And I don't think that he can afford that. Finally, my father said, all right, George, you can use him on one condition. What's that, Hatcher? Mr. Vincent said. The commercial has to be made this afternoon. After today, my son Fudge will not be available. That's fine with me, Hatcher, Mr. Vincent said. Is he going to be paid? I asked my father. Oh, worry about that later, Peter, my father said. That probably meant yes. He'd be paid and have lots of money in the bank. I would have nothing. And someday I'll have to borrow from him. No, wait a minute. Never. I will never borrow money from Fudge. I'll starve first. Can I at least watch you make the commercial? I asked. Certainly, my father said. You can watch the whole thing. I turned to Mr. Denberg. Will Fudge be famous? I asked. No, not famous, but a lot of people will think he looks familiar, Mr. Denberg said. I turned to Mr. Vincent. Do you know he has no top teeth? That's part of his charm, Mr. Vincent said. And he cut off all of his hair 2 months ago. Well, he looks fine now, Mr. Vincent said. And he can't even talk in long sentences, I told everyone in the room. He doesn't have to say a word, Mr. Vincent told me. I couldn't think of any other reason why Mr. Vincent shouldn't use Fudge in his Tuttlebite commercial. It was settled. Soon, Fudge would be famous television star, and I would just be plain old Peter Hatcher. 4th grade, nothing. That's why they got the title. Let's begin right after lunch, Mr. Denberg said. We should get it filmed in about 2 hours. While my father and Mr. Denberg worked out all the arrangements, I asked Janet where the men's room was. She walked me to it. I told her thank you, and that she didn't have to wait. I found my own way back. When I was safely inside, I looked at myself in the mirror. I wish Fudge had never been born, I thought. Everything good always happens to him. If he had to be born, I wish he could be born just like he was 9 or 10 like me. Then Mr. Vincent would want him to be the one to ride in the Tuttlebite commercial. Janet sat down in the coffee shop for some sandwiches and for drinks. We ate, and we all walked up to another section of the agency where the cameras were set up. A make-believe street scene was in the background. The Tuttlebike was shiny red. My father told Fudge all he had to do was to ride around. Fudge liked that. He zoomed all around the place. Vroom, 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 he called. My father, Mr. Vincent, and Janet sat on folding chairs and watched the action. I sat on the floor on my father's side. Mr. Denberg was the director. He said, okay, Fudge, we're ready now. You ride the Tuttlebike, and I'll tell you, and I'll take a picture of you doing it, okay? No, said Fudge. What does that mean, Hatcher? Mr. Vincent asked. Why did he say no? My father groaned. Look, George, using Fudge was your idea, not mine. Mr. Denberg tried again. Okay, Fudge, this is it. The cameraman said, start riding this way. Ready, set, go. Fudge sat there in the Tuttlebike, but he wouldn't pedal. Come on, kid, let's go, the cameraman said. Hold on just a second, guys. No, I don't want to, said Fudge. What's with this kid, Mr. Hatcher? The cameraman asked. Fudge, my father said, do what the nice man tells you. No, I don't have to. Janet whispered in his ear. How about some cookies, Mr. Hatcher? Good idea, Janet, my father told her. I have some Oreos right here, she said, patting her pocketbook. Shall I bring him to him? One at a time, my father said. Janet walked across the room to Fudge. He was still sitting on the Tuttlebike. If you do what the nice man says, you can have a cookie, Janet told him. Show me. Oh, hold on a second. Janet held up a box of Oreos. She was really well prepared, I thought. She must be eating all day long with a cracker shaped like goldfish and a whole box of Oreos, too. I wonder what else she had in that pocketbook. Give me, Fudge said. Janet held up one cookie. Fudge reached for it, but Janet didn't let him get it. If you do what the nice man says, then you can have an Oreo. Maybe 2 or 3 Oreos. First cookie, Fudge said. First, do what the nice man says, Janet told him. No, first cookie. Give him one, Janet, Mr. Denberg called. We haven't got all day to fool around. Janet gave Fudge one Oreo, and he ate it up. Okay, kid, all ready now, said the cameraman. You ride on over to me. Fudge didn't do it. Mr. Vincent was losing his patience. Hatcher, he hollered. You get that son of yours to ride my toddle bike or I'm taking the whole account away from you and your agency. Must I remind you, George, using Fudge was your idea, not mine, my father said. Forget about whose idea it was, Hatcher. He's your kid, and you better get through to him now. I have an idea, my father said. He walked to a corner of the room and beckoned to the others. Mr. Denberg and Mr. Vincent gathered around him, along with the cameraman and Janet. They looked like a bunch of football players huddled together, talking about the next play. Soon, my father called me. Peter, would you like to join us, please? Sure, Dad. I said, what is it? And Mr. Vincent gathered around him. Okay. Peter, we want you to ride the toddle bike for us to show Fudge how it's done. But he already knows how to ride, I said. Did you see him zooming around? He won't do it for the cameras, though, my father explained. We need your help. Will I be in the commercial too? I said. Well, the toddle bike is for really young children, Mr. Denberg said. Otherwise, we'd have you do it in a minute. I got the message. It was like buying the shoes and like at Dr. Brown's office. They were going to use me to get Fudge to do what they wanted him to do. I wonder how anybody would ever manage my brother without my help. I walked over to Fudge and told him I was going to ride the toddle bike. Get off, I said. Fudge held onto the bike. No, mine. It's not yours, my father told him. But Fudge wouldn't move for anything. He closed his eyes and screamed. Can he scream loud when he tries? So my father had to pull him off of the toddle bike. Fudge kicked and kept screaming, and I'll bet Mr. Vincent was sorry he ever spotted my brother in the first place. I got on the toddle bike. It was so small, my knees practically touched the ground, but I managed to ride it around to where the cameraman told me to. Oh, see how nice Peter is doing in riding the bike, the toddle bike? Janet said. Here, Peter, have an Oreo. You did that so well that you can have 2 or 3 Oreos if you want. Fudge stopped screaming. Me, he said. What? My father asked him. Me ride, me. You can't ride as well as Peter can ride, Mr. Denberg said. Can so, Fudge said. Oh, I don't think so, Mr. Denberg said. You already had a turn. You didn't do what I told you to do. Me! You want to try it again? My father said. Again, said Fudge. Again. I don't know, Mr. Denberg said. Well, Mr. Vincent said, chewing a cigar. Well, said the cameraman, scratching his head. Please, begged Fudge. I never heard my brother say please before. Mr. Denberg said, okay, we'll give you one more chance. Fudge ran to the toddle bike. I got up and he jumped on. Now, yes, Mr. Denberg. Now, Mr. Denberg said, ride this way, Fudge, over here towards me. Fudge did as he was told. Just like Peter, he said. See, just like Peter. Janet gave me a kiss on my cheek. You saved the day, Peter Hatcher, she said. When she wasn't looking, I wiped off my face. Her kiss was too juicy. And we're going to quit right there. And you know what? I have not been able to see any of your comments on here, so I pulled up Facebook on my phone. So now I can kind of see who's on here. So hello, Aurora. Hello, and Axel and Mrs. Zare. It's good to see you guys. So we are going to continue. We're going to continue today because I am a little bit short on time because I do have another meeting coming up. But what we are going to do right now is we are going to do our, let's see if I can pull this up now as I'm trying to get this going. All right, we're just going to be doing our Go Make a Difference song. There's the closing of it. And with that, make sure you get outside today. Somebody sent me a picture with hearts made out of sticks and stuff, but I don't know who it's from. So if you could let me know who it's from, that would be great because I'd like to be able to post it. So thank you for that. Enjoy the lovely day. Make sure you go make a difference. Come back tomorrow for the conclusion of Tales of a Fourth Grade Nothing. Okay?
Go make a difference in the world. Go make a difference. We can make a difference. Go make a difference in the world. Go make a difference in the world. Go make a difference in the world.
All right. Have a lovely day. Love you guys. Miss you.